On behalf of the organizers, IUCA, AAU, I would like to warmly welcome our next session chair, who is Dr. Wally Wane, Education Practice Manager for Western and Central Africa from the World Bank. Kindly join me in welcoming Dr. Wally Wane to the stage. And for this session, the panelists for the session are, and I would like to invite them to immediately join Dr. Wally before I hand over the mic to Dr. Wally. Professor Edem, Center Leader for College of Engineering 2IE Burkina Faso. Professor Simon Bamile, Vice Chancellor Obafemi Awole University of Nigeria. Professor Hangombe Bernard, former Center Leader, SIDHA, DVC, Copperbelt, Zambia. And finally, there are two other panelists who are also joining us. Professor Gerard Misizo, Center Leader, SACID, Tanzania, and Dr. Wanderson Mulungeta Gewe, Vice President of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and also our discussant, Mr. Hiroshima Mochizuki, Senior Deputy Director, Education Group, Japan International Cooperation Agency. Thank you very much, and I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Wale Wane. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know that we have had a very, very, very rich day today. So welcome to the fourth plenary session of the day. I hope that you are enjoying the energy and the insights that we've shared so far, and as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Africa Higher Education Center for Excellence project. We heard a lot of inspiring things today. We heard a lot of inspiring stories, and then the successes, and then I'm sure that after having lunch, you have even more energy to follow this afternoon session. So, before we begin, I'd like us to watch this video that is going to set the tone for this afternoon's discussion. Let's hear from an industry partner of an ACE working in the area of public health and toxicology, the ACE Puto in Nigeria. Please, video.
In Africa, the academic institutions have had shortage of funding. So ACE has brought funding into the academic sector, into the educational sector. The other thing is that it has brought in collaboration. So resources have come in, the human capacity are now collaborating. You can see Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Mauritius, Egypt, all collaborating. The institution and the industry have met. They have not just met. They are now also doing a lot of knowledge transfer. The industry has also seen the value add. And even when you begin to look at, even in subnational and national policies, you are seeing all the reflection. Everybody is now involved. It has also now brought excellence. Excellence across fields, across education, across health, across public health, across technology. And when you begin to triangulate all those things together, the sky is the limit. You are shooting for the stars. I think 10 years of ACE has really added value across the value chain of education in Africa. And I think this is really worthy of emulation. And it shouldn't stop. We are shooting for the stars.
Thank you very much. So we just watched these very powerful videos that touch on one of the central pillars of the ACE program, success. So partnerships, this is critical. So the next session, this session, which is titled The Power of Partnerships, Cross-sectoral, Cross-regional, Cross-border collaboration, so collaboration all over the place, invites us to go to dig deeper on this. So we will explore quickly how partnerships across institutions, industries, border, across countries, and even across regions have served as a catalyst for innovation and have helped bring the impact of the ACE program to scale. That's the objective. So here in the room today, we are joined by partners from the private sector, development agencies, academia, and regional networks. A clear reflection of the collaborative spirit that has defined the ACE program since its inception. So at the World Bank, and within the ACE initiative, we believe that no single institution, however great it is, can meet today's development challenge alone. Collaboration is absolutely critical. And it is only through strategic and inclusive collaboration that we can strengthen education systems, scale research, and respond effectively to regional and global priorities that we are faced today, and that are actually deeper as we talk right now. So this session is designed not only to celebrate what has worked, but also to learn from challenges, spark new ideas, and inspire the next generation of partnerships. You will hear directly from leaders who are sitting here, who have built, nurtured, and sustained impactful collaborations. What drove their successes, how they navigated complexity, and where they see opportunity for even greater synergy. That's the issues the topics we want to tackle with them today. So, without further ado, it is my pleasure to start the discussion with our distinguished panelists. I will not introduce them, but I will just introduce them when I give them the question quickly. So they will bring a rich mix of experience and perspective on what it means to build partnership that matter. So before I start, I wanted just to put in the house rules, because we have quite a great panel, and then I would want everyone to get a chance to speak. So we have roughly 1 hour. So what I have 2 questions for each of you, but to make sure that everyone will speak, I'll go 1 question. I'll do it by 2 rounds. I'll start with the first round, and then I'll come back to the second round. So if you can limit the answers to 5-6 minutes, that will give us everyone an opportunity to speak. I know these are not totally interactive, but I'm going to break the rules myself. If you have a couple of questions from the audience, I would love them to be posed to someone in our panel, so we can do that. All right. So I'm going to start with Prof. Koko Edem Sokupe, from the center leader for the dossier of Burkina Faso. I'll ask you my question in English, so that's good. If you and then can respond in French or in French if you want. So your center focuses on problems of energy access and sustainable infrastructure. We'd like to hear about your approach to building partnerships. Can you walk us through the specific and strategies that your center has been using to foster strong alignment with other centers, universities, or the private sector? Could you tell us about a few of the partnerships that have been established, that have been particularly impactful from your perspective, and why you find that? Go ahead.
Okay. Merci beaucoup, professeur Wan. Merci également à vous tous d'être venus à ce panel. La question du partenariat est une question importante pour nos centres, bien entendu. Et au niveau du collège d'ingénierie 2IE, et plus généralement donc de l'Institut hôte, qui est l'Institut 2IE, nous avons plusieurs approches pour cette question de partenariat. Nous avons notamment 3 piliers principaux. Je dois mentionner d'abord une gouvernance partagée avec les partenaires, une implication des partenaires, notamment des entreprises, dans l'élaboration de la formation et également une dimension importante qui est un réseau actif des alumni. Si je dois revenir sur la gouvernance partagée, il faut dire que dans le conseil d'administration ou des organes décisionnels de 2IE, notamment le conseil d'administration et l'assemblée générale, nous avons des collèges ou de la place qui est réservée aux entreprises. Il y a une place pour les entreprises, il y a une place pour des partenaires techniques et financiers, et il y a aussi une place pour les partenaires académiques. Et donc, déjà, depuis le niveau stratégique, ces entités-là sont à nos côtés et ils connaissent ce dans quoi nous nous engageons et sont engagés dans la stratégie ensemble avec nous. Si nous venons donc sur l'implication des entreprises, il faut dire que nous avons un observatoire des métiers qui est une première chose où donc régulièrement ces entreprises-là sont consultés. Ils sont consultés également chaque année, 1 ou 2 fois dans l'année où ils viennent chez nous à 2IE pour regarder notre curricula. Nous appelons ça le cercle des RH, pour regarder notre curricula ensemble avec nous par rapport aux besoins du marché, leurs besoins dans les entreprises, puisque c'est généralement les directeurs des ressources humaines des entreprises qui emploient nos étudiants dans les différents pays. Et à ce niveau-là, on peut ajuster ensemble avec eux les contenus même des formations que nous proposons. Ça se fait chaque année, en fait, 1 ou 2 fois dans l'année. Et nous avons donc aussi une dimension des vacataires professionnels qui interviennent, qui sont importants, surtout au niveau master, où on peut aller dans les filières jusqu'à peu près. Parmi les vacataires, dans le groupe des vacataires, il y a au moins 70% de professionnels dans le groupe des vacataires, ce qui est important. Et donc, on a un lien avec eux. Dans un sens, ils viennent, mais aussi nos enseignants, nous les envoyons en stage en entreprise. Donc, on a eu ça, ces expériences dans le cadre du projet S aussi. Donc, ils vont faire le stage en entreprise, les enseignants. Et donc, grâce à ça, on a une bonne collaboration, une bonne connaissance en fait du milieu, et donc il y a un bon lien avec ce secteur. Et le dernier point, le dernier pilier, c'est peut-être celui des réseaux actifs des alumni de 2IE. Il y a toute une plateforme qui a été conçue, qui a été mise en place, sur laquelle tous les étudiants, tous les alumni qui sont sortis s'inscrivent. Et donc, ils peuvent venir là-bas déposer leurs offres de formation. Ils peuvent faire des demandes de mentorat. Et donc, ils sont mentorés par d'autres. Ils peuvent également, sur cette plateforme-là, échanger avec ceux qui sont là. Et donc, souvent, nous, on reste à un lien, on a un lien fort avec eux, puisque chaque année, nous avons également participé et soutenons les activités qu'ils organisent dans les différents pays. Parce que nos étudiants, pour 70% d'entre eux, viennent de pays hors, ils ne sont pas des nationaux, ils ne sont pas du Burkina. Et donc, nous soutenons les activités qu'ils organisent dans leur pays. Parfois, on participe à l'organisation même des réseaux au niveau national parce qu'ils sont nos premiers liens, en fait, avec l'entreprise. Voilà. Et je dois donc dire que grâce à cela, on a un lien, une dynamique très positive pour ce qui est de lien avec l'industrie, ce qui est de lien avec les partenaires académiques aussi et sectoriels, académiques et scientifiques, bien entendu. Voilà. Je peux peut-être, si vous voulez, donner des exemples.
Oui, allez-y, vous avez encore 1 ou 2 minutes.
Ah, voilà. Donc, parlant par exemple tout à l'heure de gouvernance. On a par exemple dans notre gouvernance la Sogia Satom, avec qui nous avons récemment développé un béton bas carbone dans le cadre de la construction de l'aéroport international de Ouagadougou, enfin de Donsin. Il y a un projet d'aéroport qui est en cours, donc le grand aéroport aujourd'hui. Et donc, ensemble avec eux, nous avons ainsi développé un béton bas carbone qui a été utilisé pour ce grand chantier, cette infrastructure majeure pour le pays. Et aujourd'hui, avec cela, Société Atom a obtenu le prix de développement durable au sein du groupe Vinci, avec lequel maintenant, qui veut maintenant signer un autre accord de partenariat avec nous pour couvrir un peu toute la région. Voilà. Pour toujours, là, il y a quelques mois, j'étais au Forum des énergies renouvelables de la CEDEAO à Abidjan et on a donné donc un certain nombre de prix. Il y en avait 9 qui étaient décernés et on s'est rendu compte que 4 des 9 prix qui ont été décernés au niveau de la CEDEAO étaient à des alumni de 2 IE parce que cet esprit d'entreprise, cet esprit d'entrepreneuriat a été inculqué à ces étudiants, mais je crois que peut-être il en sera question un peu plus tard ou demain, en fait.
Excellent, excellent. Oui, ça, on aura un peu plus demain sur cette question, mais je vais vous poser la deuxième question quand je reviendrai vers vous sur ça. Mais ça montre déjà véritablement une stratégie très très forte de travailler avec le secteur privé et que ça a quand même beaucoup réussi. Si vous avez réussi à avoir tous ces prix-là, c'est excellent. I'm going to turn now to you, Professor Simon. You are the Vice Chancellor for Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. So, as a Vice Chancellor, you are often the driving force behind setting the strategic direction for partnerships. How do you approach identifying and securing partners, whether they're academic, industry, government? This was the alarm for him. Government. And what criteria guide your decisions to ensure alignment with your university's long-term vision?
Thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity, at least before I answer the question, to really appreciate the World Bank, AAU, AFG, our governments, and also our own NUC, that's the regulatory body in Nigeria for universities, for keying to this very laudable initiative. That's actually helped a lot. I know the project is almost winding up, but I still want to believe that the World Bank should not just do without watching over those high-performing centers of excellence, particularly, and one of them is the OAU, Oak Park Center of Excellence. And I think this will help a lot to further boost the objectives of the program. Now, to go into the question, securing the right partners. Yes, we have to do this systematically and strategically too. There are partners and there are partners, but choosing the right partners requires that you focus on your institutional vision and goals. Once one is able to establish that, then the next thing is, who are these partners? Are they researchers? Are they institutions? Are they government organizations? Are they non-governmental organizations? Or international organizations? And that is when you begin to start the process of engagement. And in that engagement, everything has to be spelled out. That is, there must be a clear expectations of the two parties concerned. And once that is done and it's understood, the next thing is to begin to work out a memorandum of understanding, sort of agreement between the two parties. But in most of these collaborations, it's always expected that it should be a win-win thing. It should not be one-sided. And so I want to propose here too that some of the collaborations that we go into appear to be one-sided. especially with, when we have international organizations, with institutions, they have the opportunity of coming into our universities. We have the opportunity of going there. But you see more of our movements outside there. And that's why when we have exchange programs involving students and staff, you have most of our staff going away. You have most of our students going up there. So I think it will be imperative for AAU to begin to look into this, working with governments, our governments, to see how best to ensure that as our students go over there, we also have the opportunity of receiving students into our various universities, so that we'll be able to balance a lot of things, because it's not mere, the collaboration is not for the sake of it. At times, what you get out of collaboration is beyond your expectations, even beyond what you signed in as a sort of agreement. So many other things will crop up, and which are always beneficial to both parties. Then there's need for us to begin to look at ensuring continuous communication, between and among parties, the various partners involved, and that will ensure that we keep up with the relationship, and it will also ensure sustainability and continuity of whatever program we are into. So for us, we have a lot of partners coming as a result of that, from various industries, from NGOs, from even universities within, because that's another area. Universities within don't collaborate as such, as expected. We always look on to universities outside the shores of our nation, but within the universities, within the country, we're also supposed to be collaborating. And that's what we are trying to do now, to ensure that we carry ourselves along and ensure that we are able to move together as a family. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you very much. We were just at dinner with the minister. I just wanted to touch on your question on sustainability. And we had like few ministers of finance who have been invited, right? And then so the collaboration between the Minister of Higher Education, the Minister of Finance, and then the Minister of Higher Education inviting you, right, on the Vice Chancellors and the university to participate in the discussion will be critical. And then collaboration and then the revenue generation from your end is also critical for sustainability, and partnership plays a big role into that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to move to Professor Hagombe Bernard, who's the former center leader of the ACE IDA DVC Copper Belt. We've heard from a center leader and a vice chancellor already. You bring a unique perspective as both a former ACE center leader and now a deputy vice chancellor. From your perspective, leading your former center, ACE IDHA, and now overseeing a broader institutional strategy, what have you found to be the most critical factors for building partnerships at the level of the programs, for research, and at the institutional level? So how are you applying those lessons at Copperbelt University today?
Thank you very much. I think that is quite interesting, because I was center leader, and at that particular center, we actually graduated over 80 PhD students. And someone would wonder, actually, a lot of people would ask to say, how did you manage to actually graduate such a large number? How did you supervise them? I think it all comes under collaboration and the serious partnerships. So what actually came into being was that prior to the World Bank coming on board in these education centers, collaboration was actually virtually new. But I think the way the project was modeled, it was modeled to actually encourage collaboration and partnerships, because it was part of the indicators that would trigger funds. And therefore, it was mandatory that we went all out, but in the initial stage, we did not know why it was like that. But as the numbers of students actually increased, we actually realized that the collaboration and partnerships were actually very, very important. And these partnerships came as a result of one, the need that the country needed, that it needed the manpower, it needed people to actually be trained. But as you might be aware, you cannot just train people just in one particular household. You would want to hybridize ideas. And we now came to realize that actually what the World Bank meant, what the project meant, was seriously to hybridize ideas. We were in the South, we needed the Northern partners. And the Northern partners also had something to actually get from ourselves. So it actually became a win-win situation for both of us. So which means the win-win situation for both partners becomes an important factor into that. And how did we do it? We had a number of partners. For example, we had our Norwegian counterparts who would want to actually bring students to the southern angle. So when they would bring their students, we entered into an arrangement where our students would actually go to the north. Then we had, for example, our Japanese counterparts who also would actually want to bring their students. So it was a mutual benefit to a point whereby in terms of supervision, in terms of equipment usage, the high-tech equipment that we actually needed, we were actually able to send our students to such places. So one is the need, then the second one is the win-win situation. Then the other aspect was actually strong trust and communication between ourselves and our partners. And this applies, for example, the Copperbelt University now, where I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, where to sustain that particular center currently at Copperbelt University, it has become very, very important to actually have strong communication and trust with the industrial partners. We are fortunate that Copperbelt University is placed into an industrial base of the country. And therefore, we have a number of mining companies, and these mining companies have seen the need that we actually have to actually collaborate with them. So in terms of sustainability and in terms of having our students to have first-hand training, you can actually clearly see that they actually go there to actually get the necessary knowledge that they need. The other aspect, I think, when you look at partnerships, the strength of the partnerships that you are actually going to actually have. And this partnership strength comes in again from what are you bringing on the table? And what are the partners getting on the table? So if you look in the mines themselves, they realize that the university has a lot of expertise. And that expertise can actually allow them to actually maximize on whatever they want to do. And as a university, we're actually grading on that. And what I mean by grading on that, we're actually riding on that. The World Bank, through the World Bank, we have actually put up some laboratories, and those laboratories currently, we do not have equipment in those laboratories. But what has actually happened is that the mines have come forward to say, we can actually provide you with equipment for as long as even the mines will actually be using that equipment. So you can actually see that now, that partnership strength, we have accommodation, we have the expertise, but we may not have the resources to acquire that particular equipment. But somebody who wants to actually benefit from our expertise and from our knowledge will actually provide us with that equipment. So that clearly we have actually seen it work. Now, when I go to my previous center, the center that I used to manage, it's a center that was responsible for health. And it's like when we started developing programs at program level, a lot of people were wondering the sorts of programs we were actually developing. We were developing what we are calling now, it's a new basic science that has come on board, which is One Health. So we had a lot of programs that we actually developed on particular, on One Health, diagnostic One Health. So which means you are actually developing a cadre of people who are able to interface with human medicine, animal medicine, and environmental medicine. That's what we actually started training. It's basically a new science. So after we trained that cadre, we started training those people in 2018. And we did not know what was supposed to come. 2017, 2018, we started training those people. From nowhere came an epidemic, COVID. And everyone now realized our focus where we were actually driving ourselves to. And the center now became a center of focus now in actually doing diagnostics for the whole country. And the center now had to play a very big role now in moving all over the country, trying to build capacity. So it is something like someone asks, did you know about that? But I think that is the ingenuity, which I think clearly you can actually see that the center came up with, and the bank provided that resource with our partners, north, south, east, west partners, who actually assisted us in actually spreading that capacity.
Excellent. So we see how when you have two roles, how it helps you broaden the perspective and then be in the shoes of everyone and how it enriches the experience. Thank you very much, Professor Bernard. I'll go now to Professor Misinzo, who is a center leader for the psychiatrists in Tanzania. So from your perspective as a center leader, what have been the most persistent challenges in managing collaboration, cross-border or cross-sectoral? And how have you helped your institution navigate them?
Thank you. To answer this question, maybe let me start by describing how SACIDS was formed. From the right beginning, SACIDS was formed as a center by universities and national research institutions in 5 countries in the SADC region. So DRC, Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique, and South Africa. So you see, we have a Lusophone country, Mozambique, a Francophone country, DRC, and 3 countries that are Anglophone. So the first challenge that comes right from the beginning is the language. So luckily, we had our Francophone colleagues and our Lusophone colleagues able to speak English. Otherwise, this was a problem from the right start. So how many Anglophone speakers can speak French and Portuguese? It's not easy. So we also received students from Russophone and Francophone countries, so Ivory Coast, DRC, Mozambique, Angola, etc. But luckily, in our institution, we have these language centers. So the students struggle in the beginning, but then you realize these are very bright students, and then they surpass the other colleagues who are native English speakers. So the second thing, you'll see SACIDS was formed as a cross-sectoral center. So it's a One Health center, so bringing public health and veterinary medicine, including wildlife health plus environmental health. So really the One Health definition as it stands. So this is cross-sectoral. But also, as I said, it's a regional center because 5 countries in the SADC region, plus partnership in Europe, North and South America, plus Asia. So from 2008, when we were formed and when we became a center of excellence, the issue now, or the challenge, was how to make these partnerships institutionalized within the university. So this is very difficult. The vice chancellors are here. How many of you have been able to assimilate the Africa Centers of Excellence into the management structure of the university? This is very difficult because you always end up with a fight between the principal, the dean, plus the center leaders. But we were lucky to have a very good vice chancellor who was the chair of our governing board of SACIDS, together with the center from Zambia, Aseida. And after a lot of up and down, walking the stairs to the office of the vice chancellor, in 2020, we became an Institute of Infectious Diseases of the Sokoine University of Agriculture on behalf of the membership. So this is the biggest challenge, I think, for the most of the centers to be integrated within the university structure. The other challenge that we face is this silo mentality. I think it starts when we were born, that this is my share, this is my thing, you cannot take it from me. So the veterinarians think it's their profession, the medical doctors think it's their profession, the nanotechnologists think it's their profession. So how do you break that silo of the my syndrome? Because I'm a veterinarian, I call it myitis. You know, it's like a syndrome, you know, myitis, this is mine. So it's very difficult to break that. So It's my lab, it's my project, it's my assay, it's my degree program. So because of this, we failed even to have inter-RSA collaborations. You have a number of centers in the health sector, and we ended up collaborating with his center in Zambia, but we were not collaborating with Gordon Andaware and Chris Happy's center, although our focus is the same. The other challenge, if I have time, is bureaucracy in the universities. The Senate is the hardest thing to surpass. We had to go there 8 times to convince them our center has to be an institute of the university. So it takes a lot of effort, a lot of lobbying. Actually, the buy-in from the vice chancellors is most crucial at this stage. So the bureaucracy in the universities has prevented us, for example, to have things like credit transfer. Can I take these modules in this university and get it transferred to somewhere? Or have a dual degree, graduating from 2 or 3 universities. It's not very easy. So in the end, we had to develop degree programs in universities that take care of students from the region. We developed one health-based degree program. We had the one based on molecular biology at Sokoine University. He took analytical epidemiology at the University of Zambia. But imagine if we had a degree, for example, in molecular biology that is cross-regional or throughout the continent of Africa, where I'll be lecturing virology to all students in Africa. Gordon is lecturing pathogen biology to all students in Africa. We have enough pool here to create such degree programs and really leapfrog the continent of Africa. But because the Senate's very bureaucratic, it's very difficult to surpass that. And maybe the last, if you allow me, they spoke about many things that foster partnership, ethics, communication, having same vision and goal. But those are the bricks. What is the motor to keep this partnership going? It's the money, funding. Once funding flies off, the partnership dies. So where is the motor for this partnership? You have to develop joint projects. You have to have these big partnership programs that are going on in the continent. For example, the ASA Initiative, the Oliver Tambo Africa Research Shares, the PASET, Regional Scholarship Innovation Fund. You have to have that money to keep students flowing into these centers to really make this partnership work. Thank you very much, Chair.
Excellent. I mean, as the French say, l'argent c'est le nerf de la guerre. You need the money, but then so also you can generate it and then make those partnerships. And then when you have more partnership, it can be more fruitful, and then it can also bring the revenue generation. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna move now to Mr. Onduso from the. So your university, Addis Ababa, has 4 ACs: health, agriculture, water, and railway. Is this question that I wanted to ask? No. So what I want to ask you is, how has your university supported to establish and foster partnerships of the center with other universities and industries in the region?
Okay, thank you very much. Addis Ababa University has 3 Center of Excellence: railway, water resource management, and CDT, or drug and therapeutic trials. And climate, smart climate, is at Haramaia University, still at Ethiopia, but in a different university. So I'm going to focus a bit about Addis Ababa University and try to answer the question. When it comes to partnership, we fully recognize that partnership is not a one-way road. Rather, we have to make sure that the partner will have a benefit from whatever relationship is created between our centers and our partners. So the first and the most important thing is to create an objective alignment between the centers and the partners so that everybody benefits, or we have a win-win situation. For that, the university should provide many support for the centers. Addis Ababa University, as the first autonomous university, was going to celebrate its 75th anniversary next year, recently established a new office at a vice president level for partnership and internationalization. And such kind of recognition of partnership for the university would signify and also advocates how much the university, emphasizes in partnership with other institutes and the industry as well as the public. The other important support that can go from the university to the centers is making sure that they are available as well as much as the university can have deploy the resources that might be required for the centers where the partnership can happen, like sharing of laboratories, offices, and other facilities that are available. The third and important support that the centers could get from the universities is making sure that the legal framework, the partnership is set in place. Because whenever you have a partner coming to the university, they should operate in a particular formalities, in a particular requirement that the institute as well as the country has. So making sure that such kind of supports are available at a legal framework perspective or from compliance perspective is very important, because an industry might not directly come and operate in the university in whatever form, unless and otherwise the rules are well under respected. So the university making sure that such kind of compliance and legal requirements are put in place would be very important. So there are many wide support that the university can provide, but these, I believe, are the three critical points that we should pay attention to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Hiroshi, you have heard the first round, but you just hold on. A lot of interesting things have been said, but now I want to go to the second round, so we'll have actually even more material to discuss, right? So I'll come back to you. Prof. Okovi. So I wanted so your university has established a very strong incubator, right? We'll be hearing more about this tomorrow. As you were saying, just in your in the first segment. But from your perspective, from the perspective of the center, how has this helped your collaboration agenda, especially with the private sector?
OK. Merci beaucoup. Nous avons effectivement un incubateur qui fait un travail formidable et donc qui aide beaucoup, sert beaucoup de liens avec le secteur privé. Il y a différents volets sur lesquels il intervient. On peut dire déjà dans la capacitation des étudiants, la capacitation et le réveil des talents entrepreneuriaux au niveau des étudiants, parce que cet incubateur intervient même dans la formation des étudiants avec à peu près 25% de volume horaire qui sont consacrés aux soft skills, je veux dire tout ce qui concerne les sciences managériales, tout ce qui est lié aux affaires. Donc, il y a cette dimension-là, d'abord. Ensuite, il y a aussi des compétitions qui sont organisées. Par exemple, il organise chaque année un défi qu'on appelle, ou un concours, une compétition qu'on appelle Parcours Entrepreneur, au cours duquel les étudiants reçoivent encore là des formations spécifiques pour développer des plans d'affaires et arriver à maturer leur projet. Éventuellement, au-delà donc de ce concours, si vous êtes sélectionné, vous pouvez peut-être entrer même dans l'incubateur et d'être accompagné. Donc, il y a cette dimension-là qui est importante pour nous, déjà la capacitation et le réveil des talents au niveau des étudiants. C'est un aspect important. Je disais tout à l'heure que beaucoup d'entre eux, à la sortie, s'en vont créer donc des entreprises de l'expérience qu'ils reçoivent au niveau du centre. On a également une autre dimension qui est l'interfaçage entre les laboratoires et puis les entreprises, où nous avons notamment des problèmes qui sont au niveau de l'entreprise, qui sont remontés au niveau de l'incubateur, que nous devons accompagner donc des activités. Et parfois, ça ressort ou ça emmène à d'autres questions, d'autres éléments, comme récemment le besoin de mise en place d'une politique de propriété intellectuelle donc qui a été développé et qui est en cours actuellement de validation, parce qu'on a déjà le projet qui est en cours de relecture actuellement. Et ça nous a conduit aussi, toujours pour améliorer nos capacités à assurer cet accompagnement-là, la mise en place d'un Fab Lab, donc, qui a été aussi installé juste l'année dernière. Donc un Fab Lab qui sera un espace aussi bien pour les étudiants, mais également pour nous et pour ça. Et un dernier volet, peut-être l'accompagnement même plus généralement des entreprises, des partenaires, parfois qui ont des projets qui relèvent plutôt un peu plus de l'expertise. Ce n'est pas forcément toujours de la recherche, par exemple, mais une forme d'expertise. Et donc, à ce niveau-là aussi, l'incubateur est celui qui nous fournit les moyens pour nous faciliter donc le travail avec ces différents partenaires-là.
Excellent, super. Merci pour cette expérience. Super incubator. I want to limit this segment to 2-3 minutes, if possible, so we can finish on time. So I'll go to Prof. Simeon. So what institutional structures or policies have you found most effective in supporting and sustaining partnership over time? So especially as leadership or priorities shift, how do you ensure continuity and accountability in those collaborations? You can take only the first question if you want. You can leave the next one.
Thank you very much again. Leadership framework is an essential component of what one has to look at, in ensuring that whatever is the objective of the ACE program is achieved. Foremost, the institutional mission and core values are really very important. So no matter the situation, every component of the program of the ACE, the Centers of Excellence, must align with the institutional mission and core values. The other thing has to do with the fact that strategic goals and objectives of the institution must align accordingly. But there's a driving force, and that driving force is the person who is actually heading or controlling or coordinating that center. He must really understand what the center's objective and goals. The person must really be able to be transparent, be trustworthy, and also be able to carry others along. We found this in our own center leader, and that is why the university is really supporting everything that has to do with the ACE program and really committing resources to some of the areas of need as well. The driver of the program is really very important in the sense that for now, if you get to our own university, most of the virtues of the ACE program had already permeated various faculties and units of the university. And so we are really enjoying the dividend that the ACE program is bringing on board. The other thing has to do with the fact that the stakeholders that are concerned are very, very important. And so, in leading this, in guiding decisions, you have to take into cognizance the stakeholders, the students, the staff, the alumni, the industrial partners, and every other person that is involved. And as a federal institution, for us, there is a factor which is somewhat extraneous in a way, by virtue of the fact that we are semi-autonomous in a way. The government has its own views and policies that just come up. And when they come up, it affects whatever you have in the institution. And so, on regular basis, there's need to review most of what is happening in the centers in order to be guided by what one will be doing at any point in time. So, once the center leader and the leadership of the institution are working in synergy, everything goes on well with the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we need to make sure that those synergies stay, because we are in a world of constant change, if I can say that. So that's important as an institution even. I'll go to Professor Bernard. So in your view, what role should African universities and university leaders play in shaping the future of cross-sector partnerships? What bold steps should we be taking now to deepen collaboration and drive more transformative impact across the continent? That's a tough question.
Thank you. I think what universities and what university leaders should actually emphasize on, like ourselves, is to make sure that whatever is being done from the centers has to be transformed into an innovation. Why an innovation? An innovation directly, sorry about that. An innovation directly benefits society. And this is what we are trying to do at Copperbelt University. At Copperbelt University, we have formed a unipod, which is now becoming a hub of trying to transform what has been actually been put forward by those in academics to directly benefit the people. But what we have done further is we have realized that in communities, there are people who never went to school, but they have ideas. So it is to call them, to bring those ideas to the unipod so that they can actually be magnified to the benefit of the people. So that must be the way universities are actually supposed to operate, especially in our environment here. If you looked at when there was mentioned that there are over 30,000 postgraduate students that graduated, how many innovations came out of there? Maybe 5 or so. But of all those 30,000 postgraduate students, are we serious that in all of them, we cannot get an innovation from what they were doing? So I think that must be the focus of university leaders and universities. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Great idea. I'll go to Professor Misinzo. So SACITS has been a leader in cross-disciplinary and cross-border collaboration, particularly through the One Health approach. Can you share how your partnerships across countries, institutions, and sectors have strengthened regional capacity for infectious disease surveillance and response? What have been the key drivers of success, and how are you thinking about sustaining and expanding those partnerships moving forward?
Thank you. Let me start with a bit of history. Before we started, I think you remember or you recall, whenever there was an infectious disease in Africa, samples used to be shipped outside African countries. And this took a lot of time to identify the cause of the disease. And if you look at the statistics, Africa has the highest burden of infectious diseases compared to the rest of the world. So in other words, if technology has to be where the problem is, the technology to address the burden of infectious diseases has to be in Africa in order to enhance global health security. Thanks to the ASEP program, partnership that we had, and actually at SACITS, our partnership, we coined it as smart partnership, to have African problems solved in an African way in collaboration with the North. So the North helps us to transfer, you had this term, it's called technology transfer or capacity building. I'm told it has changed. It's called technological sharing or capacity sharing. So through capacity sharing and smart partnership, all this technology has now moved to the south. When we started, a PCR machine or a next-gen sequencer was locked in a strong room. But now I have more than 10 nanopore Oxford sequences that the students are playing with. So we are now rhyming with the 717 target that was published in the Lancet. It has to take 7 days to identify what is the problem whenever there is an outbreak, take 1 day to report this disease, and mobilize response within 7 days. You remember when there was an Ebola outbreak in West Africa and we lost about 11,000 people? It took 3 months to identify that it was Ebola. But now, I think the center in Ghana, the center in Nigeria, the center in Tanzania, we are able to do that within 24 hours to tell that this is Ebola. I'll give an example. For SACITs, when there was an unknown hemorrhagic disease in the southern part of the country, we used agnostic sequencing. And because it was negative, it was not Ebola, it was not Marburg, tourists now are being afraid to come to Tanzania. But when we did next generation sequencing, we found that it's a level 2 pathogen, it's Leptospira, which can be easily contained. So throughout these diseases, Marburg, Ebola, PPR, African swine fever, etc., now capacity is there in Africa to be able to tell what it is within 24 hours. And this capacity really enhances global health security. Of course, we've worked with the Africa CDC to ensure that, for example, event-based surveillance is spread across the countries. Our Afya data tool is being used in Tanzania, Mozambique, and Guinea. And so those are the things, actually, smart partnership and technological sharing that have driven the transformation of Africa to be able to address the burden of infectious diseases in situ. Thank you.
Superb, and we are working a lot to improve the pharma and then pharmaceutical. So this is really, really key. If we can have the partnership, then so that we can, because everyone is expecting that we are entering in a world also of pandemics that are going to come beyond an hour last. So this is actually critical. So Professor, I'll ask you the question, a forward-looking question as well. So how will your university prioritize? How are you going to prioritize the kinds of partnership that you will seek in the future, and then be selective and then find the ones that you really want for supporting your institutional development?
Okay. With the limited resource that we have in African universities and also in our university, whenever we embark on any partnership, we have to try to prioritize those that align with the priority of the university. The nation. Every nation has its own priority. If you look into Ethiopia, when it comes to health, when it comes to water management, when it comes to logistics and railway, when it comes to climate, these are the priority areas that are clearly identified by the nation, and focus is given by the leadership, the heads of state, and all the ministries. So whenever partnership comes to the university, the first thing that our centers as well as leaders are going through is to see how it is aligned with this priority. Because the moment it aligns with the priority of the nation, then a single partnership would attract more other partnership with other universities, the industry, as well as the ministry. So whenever we join hands together, we're not looking just a one-to-one partnership between universities, but whenever you have more partners in a single junction point, then the strength of that partnership is not only for its establishment, but to sustain it for a longer period. So we are looking for such kind of partnership. Now, looking into some of the partnership that we have, even between our Center of Excellence that we have at Addis Ababa University and other Center of Excellence like in Ghana, as well as in Tanzania with Wise Future, also with Uganda, Kenya. Those partnerships, the moment we have more universities, more industries coming to a single point of partnership, then it shows you that it's going to go longer. And the strength would always emanate from having the same vision, which means the priority of the nation, the research and the need of the nation, the need of the region, and it keep on, growing to the need of Africa. So that, I believe, is the most important, element to look into when we prioritize partnership. Thank you.
I fully concur. I mean, if you put the priority of the, country first, definitely that's going to be. We still have like a segment, but it was a very, very, very rich discussion. So at this juncture, I already want you to give them a very, very heavy round of applause because this was like an extremely interesting discussion. So before we go to our discussant, just bear with me a little bit. I would want us to have to launch a video of Peter Maturi, a good message.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this event, the 10 years anniversary of the Africa Centers of Excellence initiative of the World Bank. I would have liked to be there in person, but unfortunately I cannot due to prior work commitments, which I cannot shift. At the time when we launched the Africa Centers of Excellence initiative 10 years ago, we did not know what it was going to look like 10 years after. What we did know and believe in was that it was the right thing to do. I still believe that today. I'm pleased to note that significant progress has been made and the outcomes are clear. Let me take this opportunity to say thank you to the World Bank and to congratulate everyone who has been part of this for the hard work that has brought us this far. The challenge in front of us right now is how do we sustain this impact? Recent trends in the global development financing arena are not encouraging. And so the need for us to come together, governments, private sector, philanthropy, development partners, institutions of higher learning, and all parties interested or who see the value of higher education for socio-economic transformation, to ask ourselves the question, how do we sustain this impact? How do we continue to deepen the work that has been started under the Africa Centers of Excellence? How do we continue to support the institutions and incentivize the institutions in the Africa Centers of Excellence networks and beyond to do more? How do we incentivize institutions to focus more and more on the external-facing mandate that they have, in addition to the work that they do of training young people? How do we do more to see that research and innovation translates more and more to solutions for the problems that society faces in Africa? How do we power or get behind the entrepreneurial ideas of young people so that these can have space to grow and support the need to translate into enterprises that become Africa's private sector of the future? We know that no single organization can do this alone, but with collaboration, it can be done. I'm pleased to note that the World Bank continues to lead us in regional collaboration and regional specialization. This is important. For us at the MasterCard Foundation, education is a core part of our programming. We share the vision of an Africa that is prosperous, an Africa where we have a network of higher education institutions that are competitive and inclusive, driving socio-economic transformation in the continent and beyond. In other words, we share a vision that's very similar to the vision of the Africa Centers of Excellence initiative. There is therefore potential for collaboration. The question is in the how. Certainly, with goodwill, it can be done. I look forward to engaging further in the days to come on how we can continue to deepen this collaboration. In the meantime, I wish you a very successful event.
He appreciates this round of applause from where he's the father of the
his strategy, so this is really highly appreciated. Thank you very much. And then he has really, really interesting questions, and then vision of collaboration, how we are going to sustain this. Now, finally, I'll come to you, Mr. Hiroshi Moshizuki. He's the Senior Deputy Director, Education Group for JICA. So we want to have you as a discussant. You've heard a lot of interesting point of view from vice chancellors, center leaders, as people. So, what did you hear, and what's your take of what you have here on the stage today?
Thank you very much. My name is Hiroshi Mochizuki. I'm a Senior Deputy Director at the Japan International Cooperation Agency from JICA headquarters. Thank you very much for inviting me this occasion. I'm very happy to join this opportunity. From our perspective, we also want to introduce about the Tokyo International Conference on African Development coming end of this August this year in Yokohama. In that occasion, JICA is also very keen to launch the academic network in African continent with Japanese universities collaborations. We understand that there are three main components to support for the African regional universities, such as education, research, and also the academic industry collaboration. But the JICA is, as you may know, bilateral cooperation agency to provide the technical cooperations, grant aid, and also the loan project. But we take the two approaches for the university development, such as capacity development and also establishing the ecosystem for international grant circulation, such as the academic network. So that we are very keen to hear that how we can mobilize that kind of the collaborations between not only the African regional universities, but also the international universities, such as Japanese universities. In this regard, we are very keen to collaborate with the World Bank groups, with ACE, as a crucial stakeholder, as synergy to promote and enhance the international and regional academic collaborations in energy, food security, climate change, for solving and also contributing for the social economic development in African continent. Actually, with the member of the ACE, actually we support for the Jomo Kenyatta University and Agriculture and Technology in Kenya. They actually collaborate with Luana, Lilongwe University Agriculture and Natural Resources, for joint research, which is to strengthen the potato value chain, so that we are very keen to not only enhance the research and education itself, but also protecting the human security through addressing multi-sectoral issues in nature and also human beings. We are also very keen to support for the university to access more competitive research fund, not only for the grant research fund, so that I'm very interested in how we can also collaborate with the international stakeholders. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, round of applause, please. Don't be shy. Go ahead. I mean, this is really, really interesting that we are seeing also collaborations that we didn't have. More partnerships actually already exist and then can be actually fostered right now. So I will beg for the organizers, and I will beg their pardon, because I really want to, I like the panel, but I want some interaction with the audience. So we have like, if there is anyone in the audience who, I mean, after this very, very interesting panel discussion has a question, so we can take like 2 questions. If you have a question that you want to direct to someone in the panel, please feel free to raise your hand. If you have it, we can take 2 questions. If not, we are going to close. So I'll give you the opportunity to ask to this distinguished panel any question that you have in mind on this subject of collaboration partnerships. We have 1 question over there. Can you have someone just grab a mic on the audience, and then we have enough mics actually here. So we'll just take 2 questions. If there's another one, I'll take it. If it's only one, I'll take this question and then we are going to close. So, Nandra, I have just 2 questions here. Can you grab a mic here, just in the 2-in-1, and then we'll have those questions. They have a mic. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's working now. Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Professor Nari Ibrahim George, Vice Chancellor, University of Port Harcourt. My question goes to my colleague from, is it Burkina Faso? Yes, okay. You were talking about governance structure, and you were trying to tell us that you bring people on board that governance structure. What I was wondering is, will you bring all your collaborators on board the governance structure? Because that's how you were trying to. So I was wondering whether it's possible to bring all collaborators onto the governance structure. Thank you.
So I'll just ask you to hold on your thoughts. So second question, you had a second question over there, second and last question, and then we'll go back to the panel.
Thank you very much. Ghulam Mohamed Bai from Mauritius, and I chair the Regional Steering Committee of the ACES in Eastern and Southern Africa. 2 questions. The first one is very often countries in their collaboration are limited within Africa, or limited for for excluding other countries for whatever reasons. Let me give you one specific example. In many projects, Northern Africa is excluded for whatever reason, and yet they have so much to contribute. Can you help in bridging this collaboration, take it out and make it sure that the whole continent of Africa collaborates? I think that's extremely important. I think the second point is related to that one. We keep thinking about sub-region, and we concentrate on collaboration in sub-region. Again, in so many centers of so wonderful work, can't we really think continentally? Can you really come out of this thinking of I'm Eastern, I'm Southern, I'm Central, whatever it is, and think African and collaborate from an African point of view? Is that possible? Are there limitations? It'd be interesting to hear their perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you drop your mic, who do you have in mind to ask your question?
Anybody.
Anybody in the room? Or anybody in the panel?
Anybody from the panel,
okay.
Yes.
So
yes,
if
yes,
anyone
please.
is interested in the panel to take up that question, that would be great. So all right, so let's take those questions. So I will start with you, Professor, because you have a specific question.
Ok, merci beaucoup, professeur, pour la question. Effectivement, on ne peut pas avoir tous nos partenaires dans les organes de décision de l'Institut de l'IE. Non, ce que je voulais dire, c'est que à ce niveau-là, dans les organes de décision, ce sont des partenaires stratégiques que nous avons là, et ça veut dire que ce sont des gens qui sont là généralement pour du long terme. Cela dépend aussi de leur envergure, si vous voulez. Nous avons, par exemple, pour celui du secteur privé, par exemple, on a généralement 4 membres dans ce collège-là. Et après peut-être un terme, un mandat et un deuxième mandat, ils vont être renouvelés. C'est comme ça que cela fonctionne. Et donc ce n'est pas que tous les partenaires sont là à tout moment. C'est pareil pour le collège des partenaires techniques et financiers, et c'est pareil pour le collège des partenaires académiques et scientifiques. Ce qui fait que pendant cette période-là où ils sont là, et comme c'est quelque chose qui est relativement long, en tout cas, ça nous permet toujours de mieux nous connaître, mieux connaître la vision de l'institution et de s'épouser, d'avancer ensemble. C'est beaucoup plus ça, comme ça. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, excellent. Is anyone on the panel wants to take the question on why we are in silos and regional silos and that we are not collaborating further, or anyone wants to take it? Okay, go ahead.
A part could be there's a lot of red tape in our institutions. And that red tape emanates from the way we try to run certain processes. Like, for example, I'm at Copperbelt University, and then there is someone at Lubumbashi University, and we want to actually collaborate. The processes that are actually involved amongst ourselves are segregative. Then if someone is coming, let's say, from the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, the processes just isn't up. So it is within ourselves that we must inculcate within ourselves that we can actually collaborate within ourselves. And like what we are currently doing at Copperbelt University, we have actually taken ourselves on board that we should have more visibility within the region. And how are we trying to do that? We are trying to make sure that all the red tape that is actually involved in the way we do things with our colleagues within the region, like universities in Zimbabwe, we are trying to clear a number of those roadblocks that tend to actually delay the process. So the problem is within ourselves as African institutions. There is, I think, there's that mentality that if it's coming from the north, maybe it is more delicious than the one that is coming from Nigeria. That is it's our own problem. Thank you.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, just 3 points on the last question. It was a very right question for most of the collaboration that we have. As African universities, we have to really look outside and broaden the partnership that we have with other partners outside the continent as well. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like in Ethiopia, we have many partnerships taking the ACs as an energy or as a catalyst for our work. We have collaboration with University of Oklahoma in the USA, with Norwegian universities, with Sweden universities, with Democratic Republic of Congo, Czech Republic, many other universities are being partnered in many projects that arise from the AC project that we have. But rightfully expanding that to the world would make sure that our knowledge is shared all over the world, and we also learn from the lessons from other partners. We have to really work on that one. But there are few efforts here and there that we can take an example.
Good. It looks like many people want to answer this question. So I'll go to Professor Simon, who had his hand up, and then go to you.
Just to chip in one or two things. I think ACE has taught us a lot of things, and one of the major things has to do with this component of teamwork, collaboration, partnership, and so. But then within the framework, there's need for us to figure out things and ensure that if within the institutional goals and objectives, because it's very difficult for you to just take up, it will be very difficult to just take up any partner wanting to do something that does not fall within your own vision. So I think it's possible for us to just see variants of this partnership in different areas. But the issue of exclusion, we've been given that opportunity and we've been taught through our experiences with the ACE centers that there's need for us to collaborate because it has a lot of benefits even beyond what you may envisage at the onset. So that's just my own thought about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Msizo.
I want to comment on the question from Professor Gula on thinking African. I think this is a very good question, and I think it's an eye-opener. I work with another initiative of the World Bank called the Regional Scholarship and Innovation Fund of PASET. And luckily, there is a partnership with King Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in Morocco. And this is very important because previously we do concentrate mainly sub-Saharan Africa. But if you look at the global ranking of universities, I think the top ranking universities in Africa are either in the north or in the most southern tip of Africa. So I think this is a valid comment, and I think we should be looking at universities in North Africa. Give an example, University of Cairo, I think is top ranked, it competes with the University of Cape Town in terms of global ranking. I think we should really think from our own, not to be driven by the World Bank or something like that, but we really have to look towards partnership with countries in North Africa. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, I think that we can come to a close on this. Thank you very much. So thank you to all of our panelists for such a rich and then thought-provoking discussion. So today's conversation has reminded us that partnerships are a central pillar of the ACE program. So we've heard inspiring examples of what becomes possible when institutions reach across borders, institutions and sectors. I mean, of course, there is still work to do, right? I mean, as we just heard now. But a lot has been done already, and then commit to working together toward the shared vision. So this partnership can and have created value far beyond individual institutions. But we've also heard that successful partnership requires intentionality. You guys need to want it, and alignment of goals, adaptability, and above all, leadership that you all provide, and then have shown that you have provided that. So as we celebrate 10 years of the ACE initiative, we hope that this session has served as a reminder that the future of higher education in Africa will depend on how well we continue to collaborate across disciplines, across geographies, across sectors, and beyond the continent. To all our partners, whether in academia, the private sector, or development agencies, thank you for walking this journey with us. And to those who are just joining or looking to deepen engagement, the door is definitely wide open because the potential is absolutely great. So let's continue to build together. Thank you once again, and then please join me in giving a final round of applause to our fantastic panel. A big, big, big round of applause. Thank you very much.